Preview.
Most of the time, I think on sell side deals, they've hired a investment bank or perhaps a broker to help market the deal nationally or internationally. And we need to work very closely with that investment bank. Number one, they're always curious, very interested in obviously the results of our due diligence from knowing what the adjusted EBITDA number is. As we all know, most deals at least start with an adjusted EBITDA number and a multiple. That's just the way of the world in the M&A environment. So they're very interested in when we finalize the adjusted EBITDA number, but also in preparing our reports and the data book as well, making sure that our terminology is consistent with the investment bank's confidential information memorandum that goes out. So obviously in certain sectors like technology or healthcare, there's certain acronyms, there's certain terms that are used in that industry, throughout those types of marketing materials. And they want to make sure our deliverable, our quality of earnings deliverable is consistent with that. As well as, as the closer we get to finalizing a deal, making sure we're working very closely with the M&A attorney to review the purchase agreement and make sure that the areas of financial reporting and some of the other clauses in the purchase agreement are consistent with our quality of earnings report, and also making sure again that that we've identified, or what we have identified as deal risks for our client are included in that purchase agreement or addressed in that purchase agreement somehow. And as normal course, we review that purchase agreement. As we've all seen once or twice in our life, or maybe more, once in a while, you'll get a draft agreement that probably was copy and pasted from another deal, and there's certain clauses in there just are either irrelevant or just wrong. And so I think it's very important to make sure that we focus in on those areas that where they're looking for financial expertise, and making sure our client is covered.
Yeah, I think it is amazing that on so many transactions that we've been exposed to, where there's been something agreed to in concept in the negotiations, but then when you see the purchase agreement, how it's written, it doesn't add up. It doesn't match with what was agreed to in concept, and that it's really important to make sure the words line up with the agreement. Both conceptually and in legal form.
Chad, how many times have we seen in a letter of intent to do a deal where there's going to be a net working capital adjustment and it's not defined, and then it's defined loosely or generically in the purchase agreement, and then and then all of a sudden there's a net working capital dispute, and they'll bring in a third party like ourselves, like Armanino, to go through and come up with a quote a firm number on net working capital. But to save the headaches and to save the costs on legal fees and consulting fees and like that, net working capital adjustment should be defined up front and agreed to. I think personally, having seen these things happen all the time, you really got to get it's got to be well defined in order to avoid any type of court costs down the road.
Yeah, and I think that's an area where we assess where clients and also attorneys sometimes don't realize we can provide guidance and advice on, and it's only at the last minute that they're asking for support from us. So certainly, given the technical expertise we have, looking at GAAP, working capital, just terminology around indebtedness is also another area. So again, just letting people, our clients know, attorneys know, that's something that we can help with, because again, we just don't do quality of earnings. There's other things that we can assist with as part of the transaction.